Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever, where today we're going to be casting a 5v5 played on the map Picnic. Before we get into the cast, though, I'd like to remind you to like and or subscribe if you have not already, and to say that if at any point I come up to the top like I am doing right now and pause, and then there's like a cut and it's awkward, I've gotten a really bad infection of seraphim to the gut, so my guts are just exploding fighting off the seraphim. So if that happens, that's probably me running violently to the battle stations. Either way, yeah, that is one way to word it. Either way, let's go ahead and get into introducing our players. Starting in the Northwest with Team 1, we have ourselves... Also, why is this sorted in prop? There we go, that's proper. We have ourselves in the air position, playing the Cybran, my friend, my peer, my colleague, the Duelist, going first land. And probably should look at his comms face, even though he's playing a dirty faction. Then we can move on to the furthest south for Team 1, because we're doing things out of order, with the Pink Aeon going first land by the name of Fraggington. Then moving to the northeast, we have ourselves the Red Cybran. There's two Red Cybrans on the same team. He's a channel supporter, and his name is Snake Mister. Then further northwest, we have yet another Cybran. Everybody on Team 1 making bad decisions. Of course, it is the man, the myth, the legend, Raxier. I don't know anything about him. This is probably my first time casting him. Then we have a Cyan Seraphim going first land by the name of Taylor O'Shea. Moving on to Team 2 and slowing down the game a little bit because I'm slower today, because my brain isn't working. It's too busy telling my guts how to fight the Seraphim. We have ourselves a yellow Cybran going first air by the name of Boba Fett. Then to the west, we have ourselves a blue Seraphim going first land and second land by the name of Kazi Marius. Then up to the northeast, a white UEF, the first player to make the correct decision in this game. His name is Kaho, and he is coming for that middle of the map expansion and reclaim. Then there's a green UEF, good choices on Team 2, with the name of X6000. And last but not least for the entire game, a gray Cybran going first land by the name of Cube MD. He is a medical doctor, and he is in fact the three-dimensional shape known as a cube. Now then, going back to normal speed, we can look at the map and talk about various things. We have about 38,000 reclaim on the field for these players to suck up into their coffers and turn into weapons of varying levels of destruction. And then we, of course, have the terrain. When we look at the map, we can see there's these small mountain ranges that are going to make it very difficult for line-of-sight weaponry. And then the rest of the map is kind of an open plain with a very small river of water, or I guess it's just a zigzagging pond, to be completely honest. And in the corners of the map, we have reclaim-laden mass extractor holding plateaus, presumably for the air players to grab control of. And with that out of the way, we've introduced the players and the map. Let's get into the inane ramblings of a FAF caster. It's a lot of rocks. Damn, that's a lot of rocks. That's a lot of rocks. Okay. These players all expanding out pretty much at the same rate. Nobody really lagging behind or being particularly slow. Maybe this northeastern side could use a little bit more love out from Team 1, as there's 3 mech marines set up in position for a tactical flank. These boys, special operatives with many confirmed victories. Mech Marines win games. and they are chilling. I guess that's about all I had to say. I thought there would be more going on there, but there isn't. It seems X6000 has kind of forgotten that they exist, but they may get an engineer nonetheless. Is there a fight over here? Looks like there was a fight. Something was in here that shouldn't have been, and it was killed off by Snake Mister. And up here, that engineer was in fact did in fact end up dead. The mech marine's gonna go to assault the mass extractor that the engineer built, and with their relatively decent DPS, they can kill off mass extractors quite fast. Or they can just leave them on 125 health and really bother me. Another mech marine down here, going to get another confirmed kill. X6000 using the mech marine's full might against the heathens he's up against, choosing inane and strange factions, wrong factions. The mass extractor is going to be killed off as the mech marine. Nope, it's not. Somehow. Okay, never mind, it is. The engineer. These mech marine hit squads getting a lot of value for X6000 and Team 2. Team 1. There's a T1 bomber out with 1 kill. Seems as though it may be having trouble negotiating the cliff as it does backflips. Oh, that's oh, that's unfortunate. that's really unfortunate. The Aeon pilots are drunk. I apologize for this inane. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Oh, it finally manages to break out from its hard-coded failure and fall to the ground right in front of a reclaiming engineer. I can't speak, apparently. Oh, that was funny. That tickled me rightly. Alrighty. So, around the rest of the map, there's speed and range upgrade on the way for Kazi. And over here, Fraggington has himself a speed upgrade on the way. Hasn't finished any other upgrades. T2 on the way for Taylor O'Shea. There's a bit of a fight going on between X6000's comm units and the units of Razier. I don't know how I said it originally. I'm going to say it wrong every single time, so just don't worry about that. Over here to the north, Cube MD taking surgical action against the Thoms that are infesting this general area of the map. Taylor O'Shea showing up where he's uninvited with his Seraphim units and really just causing problems as the Seraphim tend to do. The good doctor going to expel them. He may be Cybran, but we all have to take sides when it comes to the Seraphim, and the Cybran have chosen against them, which is respectable. One of the few respectable things the Cybran have ever done. Range on the way for Fraggington. He's finished speed. He's going to be finishing his second upgrade, which he'll have range and speed about at the same time as Kazi. So these two players going to be on an even footing, but it does seem as though Kaho wants to put pressure onto the pink Aeon, sending some units over to try and help out his blue Seraphim ally. Snake Mister getting into the Navy quite early, which is strange for a map that has so little Navy, but he is Cybran, so we might see some destroyers coming onto land and causing an issue. Over here, Cube MD is being stonewalled by the Thumbs. His units are going to have to fall back. They're going to trade admirably, take out a few of the Thumbs with them. But that is going to mean a tactical retreat for the Grey Cybran and a minor victory for Taylor O'Shea. Down here to the southwest, there's comm on comm action. The Aeon fighting the Seraphim. Seems as though neither player really happy with the trades going on. Both going to fall back a little bit. Going to cede some ground. Also, I apologize if you hear my chairs squeaking. If you do, I ran out of WD-40 to keep it from squeaking, so I'll have to go buy some more. There's There's just minor skirmishing going on. Looks like there may be a major push coming out from X6000, but there's multiple T1 PD thrown up already and some Cerberus on the way. Now for Raxier taking a very defensive position in all of this. X6000 under a lot of threat over here. Could be in some danger relatively soon, as he is falling down to about 7,500 HP. The UEF comm powerful, but not invulnerable, as what truly is? The answer is nothing. There's various forms of scoutage going on from Team 2 now, including these 2 scouts coming out. The Duelist reaching T3 air much earlier than his counterpart, but his counterpart's going for a Corsair. He's going to be able to scout the T3 PGen on its way to finishing. Is that going to prompt any kind of aggression? T1 bomber coming out, going to try and pick up some kills onto the build power, assisting the T2 factory, building indeed those Salems, those walking ships. The Cybran never really able to make up their mind on whether or not they want to be a ship or a mantis with artillery cannons, but that's okay. Looks like immediately this ship is going to be queued to get out of the water and get onto land. A very interesting strategy indeed out from the Red Cybran. It's a heavy investment. He does need to get something done with these destroyers. The 2 Corsairs coming out from Boba Fett, seemingly on an attack run. Let's go ahead and track that. Seems as though they are destined to head for either the Duelist's base or one of these bases. One of them takes a little bit of fire from the destroyer, but nothing meaningful. It looks as though the attack is being focused in onto the Duelist. Possibly going to be going for the power gen. The Duelist with great reflexes immediately spams out a flak before the first bombs land, and is going to be repairing that power generator. Are either of the Corsairs about to go down? Possibly the Corsair we're tracking going to go down first, and it does indeed fall. Its wreck lands on the second mass extractor, or second power generator being built up by the Duelist. The second Corsair falls as well, and that's going to be a non-issue for the Duelist. T3 air has now been achieved as of this very second by Boba Fett, so the Duelist slightly ahead in air, but not by a huge margin. He's going to be able to get out some air units a little bit earlier. On the southern side, Fraggington still trying to fight off both the units of Kaho and the comm of Kaz. It seems as though the Salem's going to make a meaningful impact here. The Salem walking forward, spewing those artillery shells from a long distance towards the land units from Kaho. Very much so a land ship. Alrighty. Cruiser now also out to try and help out with this. The Cybran cruiser having those anti-air missiles that can now dumbfire towards various targets that are within range. Going to be increasing its DPS slightly as it fires towards the base of X6000. A large push out from Kaho, but it does seem like this is destined to fail, as Fraggington with the gun speed and range comm and the large force out from Snake Mister, along with the assistance from the destroyer, going to be very effective at killing off all of this T1 spam. I think Kaho needs to go for a higher level of tech. He does have Tech 2 on the commander, which he could use to build up some things, some stuff, get some things going, you know, just like some point defense or like artillery, anything really. We don't need to worry about the facts or the not really the fact, like the what's actually happening. We can just theorize as he builds his triad. Cazimarius is still pushing forward into Fraggington. This is a bad call, in my opinion. Wait, is he just gonna die? He's just kind of dead, isn't he? Yeah, you just kind of die to this. If Fraggington just continues to walk forward, then Kazimierz dies. With his comm, the Obsidian can tank some of these T2 PD shots. His comm is so much healthier. I think falling back there is a timid move, as this game is not full share, I do not believe. Share until death, so that is not full share. Wow, this is just bugged. It does say full share right there. Somebody told me about that, but it's just wrong, and that's why I thought I always checked it in the past. I knew about all of these things, but they're usually wrong, I thought. Destroyer now out on the water, deciding to continue its life. Oh no, that's a new destroyer. Multiple destroyers on the field. First destroyer about to hit a rank of veterancy as they make a concerted push against Coho. The destroyer's seemingly a good option so far. Nobody else contesting him in the Navy. He could get a lot of value, especially if he manages to even just move the destroyers in the water over here. He's right behind X6000, who has gotten a tactical missile battery out and is trying to use it as some form of close-in defense. Not really going for mass extractors, or maybe he did. It does seem as though he's gotten a mass extractor up here, but not heavily prioritizing that from the looks of things. There is a TMD now built up by Taylor O'Shea over here, and no lasting economic damage. Maybe a couple of mexes in the backline went down, but doesn't seem like anything major's fallen. Coho now going to try and build up some Klinkhammer artillery emplacements. I think you have to give up this position, though. I think there's too many destroyers now out on the field threatening you. You're not going to be able to win it. Even if you manage to hold on to this position for another few minutes, it's going to be difficult to ever push the destroyers away, because they're just going to target down your artillery batteries. Especially if Snake Mister has any kind of intel of what's going on. He doesn't, other than radar, have very much intel. I'd like to see him maybe get a T1 air factory and just throw a scout over his opponent. It's always good to have one T1 air factory just laying around so you can throw scouts out whenever you need them. Because right now he could be getting a lot more damage done. Kills off some T1 factories. And a bit of a fight ensuing over here to the northeast. X6000 gonna be trying to use his comm to buffer and trying to protect his tactical missile batteries. Close in tactical missile. I don't know if that was from a flapjack. I think it was. I don't think it was the actual Aloha, because that would have killed with one shot. But units not moving, meaning these flapjacks getting quite a bit of value. And of course the Doctor is showing up to try and help out his lower rated ally. Speaking of ratings, the Doctor, the only player here above 1100 rating. So he is somebody to keep an eye on. He's ecoing up pretty well. Speaking of eco, we can go ahead and fully sort by eco alone. Cube MD running the field. Is that reclaim related? It's possibly reclaim related, but I don't know yet. Looks like about 172 mass a second. The Duelist in second place with 107. Just giving you an idea of how far ahead Cube MD is. He's up to T3 air already, which is going to be huge. And that's gonna be a problem. We could be looking at experimentals very soon out from Cube MD, who's managed to just focus on eco. He's just ecoing. This is no longer efficient, by the way. The entire reclaim a mechs and rebuild it. This is less efficient than upgrading. It might be faster than upgrading in some situations, but it's not as efficient mass-wise. Just so you know. They did update that and change it back to the way it was. Just getting some screenshots for the thumbnail, because I think that's going to be the thumbnail. This is the most impressive thing to me. The destroyer spam really paying dividends for Snake Mister. The duelist looks as though he doesn't want these gunships harassing the units of Taylor anymore, and that's probably a pretty good idea. Mass extractors going down now for Cube MD, which is a good idea. Probably want to get rid of a lot of that economy. Ilshevas and various units fighting all over the map, to be honest. Over here we have ourselves Ilshevas sieging the position of Cube MD and his comm itself. This could be a danger. Without it being full share, if they realize exactly how far ahead Cube MD is economically, we could see a concerted snipe attempt. And that could be dangerous as he's so far forward. You could see 20 Corsairs or just a few Strat Bombers just take him out of the game entirely. He is getting into air to prevent that himself, of course. But he's going to be behind for a little bit. He's not going to have a huge air presence currently. The destroyers mixed in with hoplites and various army units of his allies. Snake Mister is going to continue to push forward. Pushing back Coho a little bit helped him out, and now he's going to do the same for X6000 and possibly be putting pressure over on to Cube MD, who is dealing with a lot of aggression out from these Ilshevas. Managing to kill off only really T2 mexes going down, though. Not really getting any of the high value mexes. And as we go back to sorting by teams, it can be a little bit more transparent as to what's going on. Overall map control as we crest the 20-minute mark is about, despite everything I'm saying about Team 2 being in a strong position with Cube MD in particular, the rest of the map's gone relatively poorly for Team 2. Team 1 ahead, I'd say about 60-40 map split at the moment, and Snake Mister making that even bigger as he continues to push forward with the Mass Destroyer strategy. And could be posing a threat onto the comm of X6000, who's falling back, taking constant fire from these Salem destroyers. He's gotten a mobile shield to try and protect him, but that doesn't seem like it's going to be enough. The destroyer is now falling back. I don't know if that's the call. I would continue to walk forward with the destroyers. They're kind of like mini experimentals on the land. Like at the T2 phase, as far as land units go, this is an experimental at T2, you know? Kind of what it would look like. And kind of what it's doing. Like, there's no real counter to this without your own navy. Or without being able to build insane amounts of stuff or just tech up to the point where you can fight it straight up. As long as he can keep range or keep throwing stuff in front of these, he's going to be able to kill off quite a bit with it. Gunships now coming out from Boba Fett. One of the decent counters to Salem's, but not a necessarily perfect one, as Salem's can kill off the Renegade gunships themselves. Just takes them a little bit of time. You will slowly lose units, but a Monkey Lord already finished up for Cube MD right here at like pretty much 20 minutes, 30 seconds. Finishes a Monkey Lord, and it looks like it's going to be sent out to deal with all of these Salems. The Salems, which have been causing grief for Coho and X6000, are now going to meet their demise at the hands of a microwave laser mounted on a 6-legged mech of doom. Or not. Because now that I watch it a little bit more closely, it seems the Monkey Lord's not interested. Which, fair. Fair. Looking at Reclaim while we basically wait for this Monkey Lord to decide the game. 35,000 Reclaim for Cube MD. He's really just running the map as far as running this entire match as far as economies go. I mean, Team 1 overall is keeping up because his teammates are not doing well. but Cube MD has a lot of concentrated economy right now, and he's going to be a danger on the battlefield. Ilshiva's now coming up. They thought they could break this position, but they can't, as the Monkey Lord continues to plow forward. It's a noble farmer, and it's not much, but it's honest work as he uses that laser to sow the seed of destruction against his opponents. Over here, a push possibly coming out from Kazi towards the pink Aeon known as Fraggington. And do we have anything spicy going on in any of these bases? No, not really. The spider has, of course, been spotted, so these players do need to come up with a solution to that. And sooner is indeed better in this kind of scenario. Just look at them coming onto land. Breaking the natural order of things. All right, enough looking at Salem's for now. Kaho has managed to get shield on his comm along with T2 and gun. Rather beefy comm, but it's going to be all for naught as the Salems are going to force him back further. The Monkey Lord has made its way over towards the west, and I still just don't see the solution to the Monkey Lord currently, which is something that you do need a solution for. As I was saying a little bit ago, sooner is better on that front of things. Just not seeing anything significant enough to just stop the Monkey Lord from walking forward right now. It does seem as though the Whaler T3 gunships are now going to start being produced by the Duelist. He's also going to build a strategic nuke, or a strategic missile defense. Is that prompted by anything in particular? The Duelist is a smart man. I don't believe him to be wasting resources when he knows a monkey is breathing down his neck, but that does kind of seem like a waste. I just don't see a nuke launcher anywhere around here. I would definitely have rather seen all of that eco he just threw in that nuke launcher into gunships, to be completely honest with you. Ilshivas are good, but not good enough to deal with the Monkey Lord. Loyalists and bricks showing up. That could be a little bit more efficient. A minor air battle starting off over here. The Duelist, infamous for losing air. We're going to have to see. He's been able to hold on pretty well this game in the air, and he's done a really good job. That's a very nice turn. He is, of course, fighting the air of both Boba Fett and the good Dr. Cube MD. And it looks as though he's going to win this air battle unless he takes one really bad trade. Right now, I think he still has more ASF currently in the air. Seems as though he's having a little bit more trouble with getting good turns, and he's going to fall back, but he's not massively behind in air, and all of these ASF seemingly just going to go die to the static AA there, deciding just to die. A Megalith already done. Maybe have to change my role on the entire usage of the Salems as my thumbnail, because this is indeed beautiful. I do indeed. I'm not a man who lies to you all. I do like the Megalith. It does have a special place in my heart. As a major battle ensues between the Megalith and all of these units trying to siege it down. In fact, I think this may be enough. The Destroyer is going to be really pounding in a hefty amount of damage, if we're being completely honest here. And the Megalith down to 60,000 HP and falling. The Monkey Lord over here starting to be countered off by Whalers. The Duelist in a heated air battle now with Boba Fett. Does seem as though the Whalers might be able to turn the tide in this air battle. The Monkey Lord falling down to 6,000 HP. The Megalith down to 50,000 and falling still. More units showing up, but now there are Percivals and other units helping out. CubeMD has finished an experimental right as his Monkey Lord dies. The Whalers are going to show up to try and deal with the Megalith. A second Megalith has been completed. It's just non-stop experimental production coming out from CubeMD. Do we have a nuke? I'm still super bothered by the anti-nuke build. There has to be a nuke, right? I have more faith in the Duelist than that. And I know the Duelist will watch this, so motherfucker, tell me if you just built an anti-nuke to build an anti-nuke at 23 minutes. You have air, you can scout. The Megalith down to 12,000 HP and falling. It's at 1 vet, so is capable of regenerating health at an increased rate of 25 a second. But seems as though there's a decent number of units firing shots into the Megalith. It's going to go down to 1,000 HP. The Destroyer and Cruiser in the water might be enough, and yes, they indeed are. And that's going to give almost a rank of veterancy to both of these, as they probably did a decent amount of damage just sitting there chipping at it. Some engineers coming up to try and reclaim the Monkey Lord, but CubeMD not going to allow it. Has a huge amount of production. How many T1 factories does the man have? He has many factories. Let's just go ahead and check everything. Let's see. He has 1 T2 factory and 15 T1 factories. Very interesting. And as we return, that Megalith may have died, but CubeMD making a good auditioning. He's auditioning for the role of Hydra, of the mighty Hydra in D&D, because you cut off one head and seems as though 2 grow back. Or I guess in this case 4. With the Megalith cannons, there's 4 cannons on the Megalith. Megalith's gonna just continue to walk forward as a all-out war is waged. The Duelist wanted some of that juicy reclaim, but seems as though he's going to get none. As the Megalith continues to put shell after shell into the opposing forces and just honestly walk forward damn near uncontested. Rhinos coming up in a feeble attempt to deal with the Megalith, but these Rhinos, while they will do a lot of, they have decent DPS and they'll do damage, they'll die. They'll get a few thousand HP shredded off of this, and then they'll die. That's just kind of how this is gonna go. Megalith's gonna be down to maybe 80,000 HP by the time it's done killing off everything in this area. And after that, it's starting to look desperate. It's starting to look real desperate for Team 1. They need to start dealing with these Megaliths. Luckily for them, I guess out of the kindness of his heart, CubeMD has decided to stop spamming experimentals. And it seems as though the Duelist might have been, he's been bested in air. So earlier when I said he's notorious or infamous for losing air, I did not mean he is a bad air player. In fact, I would consider the Duelist to be one of the better air players if you are playing on Mapgen, or playing on a map that is less figured out, like your eco down to the second, less build order oriented and more based around using what you have available to get to T3 air quickly, when it's not just a set number of mass extractors and set distance away. He's a pretty decent air player. The thing is, every time he gets the air position, somebody on the enemy team also goes air and takes a pivotal fight, like we saw earlier, where CubeMD, he didn't even really micro his ASF, and he won the air fight for Boba Fett. And with air, it's really a battle of inches. You lose air once, it's very hard to get back in. You lose air once, you lose air by just 5, 10 ASF. Well, you lose the next battle by 20 because they had an extra 5 or 10. Lose the next one by 40. It starts getting quite the issue if you don't play incredibly safe and your opponent continues to focus on just maintaining air control. The megalith has crossed over to the other side. By that I mean of the river. And a opposing megalith has been built up by Raxier. Raxier able to get his megalith on the field. Taylor O'Shea losing tons of territory now to Cube MD. And it's starting to look real desperate for Team 1 as Cube MD is just running the show. He's gotten a lot of help from his UEF ally X6000, who's been playing a very aggressive game, admittedly for his 600 rated, playing kind of out of his mind. Playing a lot better than some 1,000 rated players I've seen, with just having a decent number of T3 units at this stage, just helping out his ally, being supportive. This is what you need to do to gain some rank when you're lower rated. You don't have the game knowledge and you're maybe not as good as balancing your eco. Just focus on helping out the better players. Try and protect them early so they can be greedy. Try and go for supporting things whenever they make a large push. Go with them. It will really help you out. The Yathoda is finished up and is now going to be walking towards the remnants of this army. But there's megaliths and a whole nother army just like this one right behind it. That's a real problem, as a Soul Ripper is now finishing up for Cube MD. Cube MD just a man with a mission and taking over the game, if we're being completely honest here. The Duelist trying to go for a last-ditch effort of going for Teleporter and Laser on the Cybern Commander. He is a very nice guy when you talk to him, but he resorts to these underhand tactics, which are quite shameful indeed. The underhanded tactics of trying to use the teleportation mechanic just to cheese a victory. And Cube MD going to use the Megalith to kill off the Yathoda. Megalith out from Raxier. Going to be continuing to walk forward. Going to be trying to help out. These engineers destined to die, especially as the Yathoda dies, and they're right next to the Death Cloud, the Death Lightning Storm. I know it has a name. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I don't remember. And also, you can't select it while observing. I don't believe. At one point you could, but you can't anymore. The Soul Ripper and Megalith combo now encroaching on the base of the Duelist. The Duelist about getting closer to being done with Teleporter. The Soul Ripper gonna have to start falling back as there's a huge line of SAMs now built up by Raxier, and it continues to grow. Raxier really trying to keep things going. Taylor O'Shea not moving. Taylor O'Shea gave his base to the Duelist and kind of just gave up. Is now going to die to the Megalith of Cube MD. And right now at the 32-minute mark, our first ejection, but the game already feels over, even though it's a 5v5 and we only have one player down. Kind of feels like Cube MD has sealed the fate of this game. All of this is going to now explode as the Duelist continues on his path to get Laser. The Soul Ripper now coming in. A few ASF stragglers from a time where there was much more for the Red Air Cybern. Now going to be showing up, building Whalers because they are probably more efficient at killing off Soul Rippers. I do approve. Or maybe he just was building Whalers anyways, and hey, happy accidents and all. The Soul Ripper is going to fall onto a power generator. I don't think it does have enough, surprisingly. Just straight up kill it. Kills off the entire air grid for the Duelist. The Duelist finishes his Teleporter. And I think this decides the game. If the Duelist kills off 3 enemies with this RAS SCU or not, what? If he kills off at least 3 enemies with this ACU telesnipe, then it is indeed a success, and we can argue for a chance of Team 1 winning. If one of those enemies is not Cube, it's kind of difficult. A nuke was launched. Where was that launched from? It was launched from the base of Cube MD, and I'm guessing it hasn't really been around for very long. The duelist is racing the clock. Does the nuke land before... Oh, he teleports in, but he's already within range of the TD, and he's dead immediately. Oh, man, that was like a instant death, a fatality, if you would. And with the nuke landing and killing off Rax here, that is going to be the end. We have a Control K out from Snake Mister, leaving Fraggington as the last remaining player, and then he promptly Control Ks. Thank you all for watching. You have been beautiful. Thank you to my Patreons. Reminder, if you join my Patreon or my YouTube membership program, you can get a replay reviewed by me. You have to contact me through the same platform that you're subscribed on. You cannot subscribe on Patreon, then message me on Discord. But if you get on Patreon for a certain tier, you can get replay reviews. I watch your replay from your perspective, your fog of war, and I give advice. So if you're an 1800 and you want to hear me meme on you, go for it. Alright. So yeah, that's it. Bye-bye. You beautiful. Fuck you.